John is building 3 boxes. He can buy scrap sheets of plywood at the Use It Again store. He needs 6 pieces of plywood for each box. How many scrap sheets of plywood does John need to build the 3 boxes? Let's find out. Can you simply multiply the number of pieces needed for each box to find the number of sheets of plywood to buy? How do you know? No, a sheet of plywood is much larger than the pieces John needs for each box. John will not need to buy as many sheets of plywood as he needs pieces for each box. To answer this question, you have to solve multiple steps. The first step is to read and understand the problem. Read and understand. How many 23 1/4 by 23 1/4 sheets of plywood does it take to build each box? You need 6 sheets of plywood to build each box. What do you know about each face of each box? You know that each face of each box is a square that is 23 1/4 by 23 1/4 inches. So, each box is a 23 1/4 inch cube. What do you know about the dimensions of each sheet of scrap plywood? Each sheet of scrap plywood is 23 1/4 inches wide and 93 inches long. Why do you need to know the measurements of each sheet of plywood? You need to know the measurements to figure out how many pieces can be cut from one sheet of plywood. Plan and solve. Next, you need to find the hidden question or questions. The first hidden question is, how many pieces of plywood are needed for 3 boxes? You will need 18 pieces of plywood to build 3 boxes. Now, let's find the answer to the second hidden question. Use a model to help you answer. How many square sheets of plywood can be cut from one scrap sheet of plywood? Use of these decimal equivalents helps you change the problem from division with fractions to division with decimals. Why does the model show only the length of the scrap plywood and not the width? Cuts will be necessary only along the length of each sheet of scrap plywood, because the width of the plywood is the same as the side of each square face of the box. What operation will you use to find how many lengths of 23 1/4 inches are in 93 inches? Divide to find how many lengths of 23 1/4 inches are in 93 inches. 93 inches divided by 23 1/4 inch equals 4. You will be able to cut 4 square sheets from each sheet of scrap plywood. How can you check to see that your answer is correct? You can multiply 4 times 23 1/4 to see if the product equals 93. How can you use the information from the first 2 hidden questions to answer, How many sheets of scrap plywood are needed to build 3 boxes? Divide the total number of sheets needed by the number of sheets that can be cut from each sheet of scrap plywood to find the total number of sheets of plywood that John needs to buy. John needs to buy 5 sheets of plywood in order to build 3 boxes. How did the hidden questions help you solve the problem? Each hidden question helped organize the information into simpler parts to solve and reach the solution. Now you know how to solve multiple-step problems.